So hello, welcome back to the channel, welcome to episode 2 of Ultimate Car Caves, and welcome to London, England. Now, our channel partner Equus, who builds some of the most beautiful houses, equestrian facilities, garages, cigar rooms, whiskey rooms, watch rooms, whatever asset class that you are passionate about, Equus build them around the world. And they have set us the challenge of trying to share with you some of the best examples we can possibly find. And today, ahead of the flag dropping on the 2022 Toronto to Miami Gumball3000, we're here to talk to Gumball founder Maximillion Cooper at HQ. You will not believe what's behind these doors. This is where the magic happens, right?
It is.
This is it.
Gumball HQ.
How long have you been here now? I've been coming here for at least 10 or 11 years.
Yeah, I think you came when it was probably mid-renovation.
Yeah.
I think first. So I bought the place in, I think it must have been about 2008. And then we worked in it. It was an office of multiple different kind of companies and lowered ceilings, carpet tiles, you know, corridors and glass offices and everything.
Okay.
I think there were probably there were like 3-4 different companies in the building, you know, and I mean, totally kind of not what I wanted, but a great building, great space, great location. And so we moved in, just made do with as it was at the time, because at the time when we moved in, we had about 4 different offices around London, around the area, outgrown each sort of space, basically. And so we were, you know, spent probably about a year trying to find this building. Yeah. And also to have a car park in central London is kind of not only being Gumball,
it's rare, right?
But just you know, anyone, the luxury of having a car park is pretty nice, right? So anyway, bought the building, worked in it about 2 years, and then decided to knock it down completely and rebuild. Okay. So at one point we just had the front facade of the building, and the back wall, and then all the floors, everything gone. Yeah.
So I remember when I first came here, I mean, none of this was in at all. No. And you were telling me about this material that you were going to put on the floor here. Yeah. And I remember the day it went in, and I was like, it's like one big grip tape, you know? It's like a skate deck.
It's completely like, well, I think, you know.
Amazing stuff.
I mean, 2 things for me was, you know, one is I grew up a skateboarder. Yeah. And so probably when I first saw this. So basically there's a street in LA called La Brea, which has got kind of all the cool sneaker stores in and whatever. And you know, great brands, Stussy, and like I said, all the little cool sneaker shops. Yeah. And one of those stores, I just went in there this one time, was like, look at this floor, what is it? You know,
what is this stuff? Yeah.
And actually, I didn't know the people who owned that store or anything. I just kind of asked the questions, got to know them, asked them all about it. And it turns out that it's basically the stuff they sprayed flatbeds of trucks with in the States.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's obviously molten plastic, you know, poly, whatever.
But incredibly hard wearing, right?
Yeah, I mean, and they spray it into the backs of trucks, you know, and then you can like, you know, pressure wash it clean,
it's really easy to clean,
you know, and it's super cool. And it's sort of resistant, apparently, to sort of everything, which in a way it is, and in a way it isn't. Right. I mean, we've had it now for sort of over a decade, and to be honest, it is pretty damn good, and it doesn't awesome. It doesn't wear, but it's an absolute pain in the ass to clean. Is it really? Inside a building, because you can't pressure wash it. Right. Okay. So ideally, you want to. So chocolate has been banned from the office because if you get chocolate into this, it's not. I mean, imagine getting chocolate into grip tape on a skateboard, or forget about something like that. It's just you know that is what it is, sort of thing. So, but it's black and it's sort of clean and it's sort of seamless and you know. And it does have a like it almost looks like diamond dust from artwork, you know? It does, and it's super cool. I actually happy that we did it. But anyway, it's been really cool, and we're going kind of next step. We're building this, you know, basketball court outside, and we're going to use essentially the same surface. That'll be awesome. On top of a concrete, you know. Fantastic. So people obviously on the outside associate Gumball heavily with cars, which is obviously a huge part of it. Yeah. But in here, and as you'll see as we work our way up, the artwork that you've got in here is unbelievable. Yeah. Where did your journey and appreciation for street art start? Well, I mean, I think, you know, obviously this is we know each other, you know, we're family, so, you know, so obviously, you know, my dad is an artist, and so I've just grown up with the art world being in my kind of, you know, life and awareness and knowledge, really. And I think, you know, I studied fashion design when I moved to London, so it's still that creative art sort of world. And moving from the countryside to a city, I was pretty kind of into the street culture side to it. So my kind of love for graffiti originally sort of started, and then probably in the 90s I didn't have an art collection. I was still super young, but a few friends gave me some pieces of art. So it sort of started then a little bit. And I think certainly the last 20 years, the collection has kind of gone from me just buying a piece here and there to now the last decade, it's a serious art collection. And I kind of, buy and collect art as a collector, really,
And what artists have we in here then?
So I've, aside from my dad's work, of which there's obviously many pieces of his around the place. That is one of his there.
Brilliant.
Which is very abstract in a way. A lot of cues towards sort of graffiti, even in a lot of his sort of stuff. Probably over, I'm certainly sort of over 2,000 paintings in my collection, aside from my dad's.
2,000 pieces of artwork.
Yeah, so in this building, of course there are.
I mean, that is quite a remarkable thing. Obviously, we predominantly share collections on the channel of cars, and we were in a building for the first episode of this that had 78 cars in it.
Amazing.
A lot. That was spread over 5 floors, and this place was 60,000 square feet. But art, you can have similar value in this place. Is this place 3 stories? Is it? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's really
and really, the collection has sort of outgrown the building a long time ago. So I'm kind of now I have.
A massive warehouse somewhere.
I mean, I have art. I have it in sort of specialist art storage, but I also have a lot of pieces in galleries and museums. So, which is nice because they're getting looked after, and it almost adds a bit of appreciation to them as well. So, I mean, let me just show you a little bit. I mean, a few pieces in here. I mean, mix it up with. Obviously, Gumball for me is art, cars, music, sneaker culture. I mean, I bought a collection of original photos from a photographer that toured with the Sex Pistols and David Bowie in the 70s. So I got the whole archive of them, and so some of them, the whole lot, so some of them printed up. So that's Johnny Rotten there, I think, on stage. And then mixed in with a photo from the 2009 rally driving across Texas, this gold Bugatti Veyron, a legit kind of, getting pulled over. That's not me getting pulled over, but it's
it's someone.
And then, this piece here, this is by an artist couple that have become great friends of mine and Eve. They're called Rob and Nikki Carter, and they've got, works in the most, amazing galleries and museums around the world now.
Wow.
I just love this orb piece. It transforms. And
so these lights, are they part of the install?
The artwork,
of
they're
the
part
art?
of the install. So, and you can sort of see, like, I don't have a cable showing in this building.
Yeah, I was going to say,
so it's kind of like everything was built in, sort of thing.
Amazing.
And even if I buy a new piece, I'll have the
You'll
cable.
rip the ceiling out.
Yeah, we'll take the ceiling.
Take the ceiling down, install it right.
This is a little stormtrooper Zen Buddha. A bit of a passion of Star Wars growing up, obviously. Who doesn't?
Let me stand next to that to give you a sense of scale, because it's fairly substantial. Right? It's big.
And like I said, I mean, you're standing in, like, this is our garage bar, as we call it. So it's sort of. I've always got a car in here, a few motorbikes in here. We can switch them around. We drive cars in and out, whatever and stuff. So, but it's really kind of, it's a bit of a social area. Got a DJ booth in the corner, and have some nice, great parties in here occasionally, and drinks evenings and whatever.
So the bar is often stocked with sponsors, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's it's a private bar. We're not selling this. So pre-COVID, we would have quite regular nights of some cool bartenders in all the time, and.
Brilliant.
And just sort of, of course, it becomes a great activation for drinks sponsors to come and host in here as well. So lots of
amazing
Piston Gin, Whistle Pig at the moment, which are two of our sponsors for this rally.
DJ booth here.
DJ booth there. Artworks, you were asking about some of the works. I mean, that's a Shepherd Ferry, that's a Riker. This is called WK Interact. This one up here, Adam Neat.
Was that 2011?
It was 2011. This is in Covent Garden before we set off to Istanbul. Dirty Sanchez guys. You got Pritchard and Dainton, DJ Muggs from Cypress Hill, Bun B, the Dudesons, David Hasselhoff, Shane Lynch from Boyzone.
How many times has the Hoff done the rally now?
Since 2008.
Since 2008?
Yeah, so 2008, he, I didn't know him until that year.
Okay.
His godson lives in Austria. Yeah. This godson's father was David's manager for Europe.
Okay.
For Austria and Germany, or his promoter manager sort of thing. And when Georgie, Hoff's godson, was born, Hoff gave him a Knight Rider car.
Unreal.
And when this kid turned 21, he was like, hey, godfather, let's do the Gumball together in the Knight Rider car. And so Georgie and the Hoff ended up doing the rally that started in San Francisco that year and ended up in Beijing at the Olympics. And that's how it happened. And that was, first... I
tell you, he is pure Hollywood, that guy. I've never seen a man command a room like David Hasselhoff. He is incredible. Yeah.
I've had this car such a long time that it's just sort of become, I go through phases of thinking, you know what, I don't use it enough. It's sort of, it's just sitting here on display most of the time. I think, you know what, I should sell it. And then I'd sort of, push it outside and see it and think, you know what, I don't really want to sell it. So it sort of comes back again. So it's a 1969 Lotus. It's called it's a Type 47/54. The Type 54 was the Europa road-going car, and the Type 47 was the race car version of it. And this is sort of a hybrid of the two, really. Right. I bought it in the...
Hasn't this one got the fancy champagne?
It does, yeah. I bought this one in mid-90s.
Right.
And used it for a little bit, and then had it restored. And then at the time... I got to know family that owned a really high-end exclusive kind of jewelers and bespoke everything company in London called Asprey's.
Right, okay.
And Asprey at the time were a sponsor of Ferrari.
Okay.
And one of the sons, a friend of mine, and so we just sort of got talking and whatever. Anyway, long story short, this car was sort of in a shell, sort of getting everything restored and whatever, and the interior was just sort of like, looking at it all bare, I was thinking, you know what, let's just do something a bit bespoke and a bit fancy sort of thing, just for fun, really. Yes. And so we had our Asprey's do the interior.
Are you serious?
So this is the only Asprey's sort of car, I guess, and so it's obviously...
What a story, that's amazing.
So it's obviously, all this blue and orange Alcantara, the Alcantara was new at the time as well. Nobody knew what it was. So this is totally kind of like, this was a futuristic material back then that had just not been seen before. Obviously carried on the Gulf oil stripe. The car was painted in Gulf oil colors, and some photos I've got of it from around 1970, 71.
Oh, wow.
So we took it back to that. And then in the middle here, which you open better from the driver's side, but we've got this champagne cooler here, which is...
this is...
And then in here, there's some Baccarat crystal glasses, again, that Asprey's sort of did, with stemless, that slot into your little...
Unbelievable. What a thing.
Into your little...
It's like, it looks like almost a 70s Geneva prototype sort of car, but real.
So you've got your... Baccarat crystal glasses and your champagne being cooled just for when you pull over and...
I mean, could you imagine what an Asprey restoration would cost now?
No. Crazy.
Dread to think.
Wow. Asprey's actually came and filmed this car about 3 years ago now, around 2018, and ended up getting them back involved in Gumball. And they produced this incredible silver trophy, which is the Spirit of the Gumball trophy.
Yeah, that thing is
And it's
stunning.
basically like a silver Gumball machine with the world on the top, and it kind of looks a little bit like the Football World Cup.
Yes.
And it's worth a crazy amount of money, and it gets sort of handed on from winner, Spirit of Gumball winner to the next one. And we just engrave the names on the bottom, and for a couple of months of the year, it goes on display in the Asprey store in London, in Mayfair. Yeah. But anyway, they came and photographed this car, and searched through their old records and got a history of it getting done and everything. Amazing. And they did this photo shoot of it, and in the Asprey store, there's photos of this car.
Amazing.
Which is really cool, right?
Thing. Yeah.
No. And then there's other things in here, just to point, I guess,
Yes.
This bike was part of Steve McQueen's collection.
This was a Steve McQueen bike?
Yeah.
Casual.
So
I've probably been walking past this bike for 10 years and just assumed it was an old scrambler.
yeah, exhaust off Schumacher's F1 car when they had that tussle with Damon Hill at the end of the championship season in Australia.
You've got a Schumacher race exhaust next to a McQueen ridden bike, next to an Asprey Lotus. Things are good. Things are good in here.
You know, if I end up buying something, whatever it is, if it's a piece of art or anything, I kind of do the research and sort of found this guy in the States that was restoring these or got original ones, and I end up buying about 10 of them. So everyone, there's a Playboy one, Charlie's Angels one, there's one in my room is Evil Knievel.
Okay, amazing. Wow.
There's a Harlem Globetrotters one.
Unreal.
You know?
Oh man, how cool is that?
They're just cool. Get a bit obsessed with them sometimes.
As well, I've noticed these as well. The investment potential of them, it's quite amazing.
Yeah. And you know, the thing is that when you do collect stuff, fortunately, if you collect the right things, and you also collect the quality things, the chances are they're going to go up in money. And so I've definitely been fortunate with that. With you know, art, you know, possibly the most, but then other things. Sad to show you in here that the Outrun machine is not on at the moment, but
you do have a casual dead mouse lid up there.
I do, yeah. The sounds.
Oh, come on, this is amazing.
Aren't they good?
That's an original sound, not a sampled sound. That's original. Look at that. Oh man, that's incredible.
And so happy to tell you that actually we're releasing a Gumball Outrun arcade machine later this year.
Oh, wow.
And the first prototype that we've made is being auctioned on this rally.
No.
And one of the charity items, you know. Mate. So we've done a deal with them and to do an actual co-branded Gumball Outrun, which is so cool, right?
You must be pinching yourself. Who would have thought when you were a kid, you know, back in the day, you'd have your own version of it.
It's cool, isn't it? Yeah.
Congrats, man. That is amazing news.
Paintings by an artist called Fail, Banksy, Ben Ein, you know, just all again. And the nice thing for me is that a lot of these artists, I get to know and become friends with. Sure. So it's not just like buying a painting and just sort of, it's actually kind of, you know, they're friends of mine now. So
brilliant, mate.
All right.
Fantastic. All right, let's go check out the Stairs of Wonder, because there's some artifacts up here, which I think one of my favorite things has to be the Weetabix packet. There's a great story there.
So we call this our Hall of Fame. You know, goes up the whole building, and it's obviously it's captures people that've been on the rally mixed in with Gumball photos and memorabilia, and you know, so even just on the stairwell around here, you've had Travis Barker from Blink-182, you got Lewis Hamilton down there, you got me and Dizzy Rascal up here, and Pritchard from Sanchez, and again mixed in with art and whatever, Lewis again.
Just before we skip past this one, right, because this is another next level example, right? So this is North Korean sort of military propaganda artwork, right? Just explain a little bit how you managed to get Westerners into North Korea.
Oh, I mean, we'd be here all day giving you the full story of that, but I mean, I think, you know, 2008, we took the rally to North Korea. Flew everyone there from Las Vegas mid-rally, and that's the rally that ended up finishing in Beijing at the Olympics. But so we had sort of essentially one night of the rally in Pyongyang, and it took me probably 2 years building up to that, working on that. 2 years of going to North Korea every few months, and they started giving me gifts, you know, and you know, the government, Kim Jong-il, they'd give me a gift sort of thing to bring home. And so I end up having lots of original pieces of art from North Korea, which are propaganda posters, probably about, you know, not very nice language about the West or whatever, about America, but, you know, what incredible gifts to be given, you know. So,
So on that, this is actually something that we very rarely spoken about, really, but so Max is my brother-in-law. At home, Lucinda, my wife, Max's sister, she has a bottle of North Korean red wine and North Korean vodka, and we've just got it on this shelf, and every now and again we've like, wonder what that tastes like.
But it's anything that we brought back from that trip, you just think, well, you're never going to get that again. It's sort of, I got even like the daily newspapers when I was there and stuff, thinking, that's like a piece of history, isn't it?
It really is.
You know, why is a box of Weetabix on the wall? It's basically, if you zoom in, you can actually see there's a Gumball logo on there with Top Trumps and Lord of the Rings, and then actually the whole collectible sort of series was actually Lord of the Rings, Gumball, The Simpsons and Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Okay.
And if you cut off a bit of a token that was on there and send them in, exchange them for a pack of top trumps, basically.
Right.
And Weetabix basically bought a ridiculous amount of Gumball top trumps, like we're talking millions and millions.
Wow. Okay.
So in 1 year, this was around the sort of, I think this was around the 2005-06 sort of time.
Yeah.
In 1 year, we'd sold like, close to 15 million packs of top trumps. So
that's insane.
Which is kind of crazy. Hugely inflated because of, the Weetabix kind of deal, but amazing, So
incredible.
Yeah. Other things, obviously sneakers. These were Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's, famous player in the 70s in the States. This is from a Gumball collection with Puma, Bmx frames, Gumball tattoos. This is a cool sort of thing. So back in the, this is from the second rally, 2000, and mid-rally that year, the rally was in sync with the Cannes Film Festival.
Okay.
So, mid-rally, there was a stop at the Cannes Film Festival, and we chartered a yacht, mega yacht, and this was the flag that hung from
I wonder what that was.
From the boat.
So you had your own flag made?
Yeah, and then we had everyone sort of sign it and whatever and stuff, so looks kind of cool, right?
Yeah, that's prompted something else. Gumball Air, that's happened a few times. So I mean, Gumball Air is crazy because you rebrand like the check-in terminal, the headrests on the planes have got like embroidered headrests with Gumball logos on them. Yeah. I mean, it's
I mean, when you turn up at wherever it was last time, I think one of them like JFK, and you see on the air, the flights coming up, and you got Gumball Air. That's pretty cool.
Hyper cool. All right. Oh man, this in the room never gets old. So this is where your love for BMXs becomes real, right?
Yeah, I think this room has become, so it's a meeting room for us in the office now, and it's also a bit of a showroom. You've got sort of different clothing collections that we designed and produced, but obviously, as you see on the walls behind you, this wall in particular, apart from hundreds of pieces of art, as we've referenced.
Yes, yeah.
These are back from an exhibition of my dad's, so that's why these are all here. But this wall became a sort of a nice space for me to kind of just display some of my, what I would say are holy grail pieces for me. I spent the 80s obsessed with BMX, freestyle, doing all the tricks as it was back then and everything, and competing, and that's why I still have a passion for kind of all the action sports sort of world, and skating, BMX, and the whole lot really. But basically these are all original Bmx Frame and Forks. Most of them are from the 1980s. And completely new old stock, like never been assembled, never been.
How did you go about finding that?
I mean, it's just, I guess, one lead leads to another, and you end up sort of. Yeah. And there's a few other collectors in the world, and a few people that do the rally that are even some sort of famous faces like Swiss Beats collects them as well, and even people that are, Snoop Dogg used to race BMX.
Did he?
So it's like all these people from this era, my era really. We grew up being kind of like BMX kids, and sort of still, if you're that into it at that age, even though I don't, have chance to ride a BMX too often these days, it's in your makeup. You're still going to love it forever. So anyway, these were basically Frame and Forks, pretty much all of them, that were ones that I never had and couldn't afford. Yeah. And dreamt about owning at one point. So slowly over sort of, I don't know, the last 20 years, I've managed to kind of find pretty much all of them. And I have what's here, I don't know, close to 20 or something on the wall here, I'm not sure. I have over 100 of them.
Do you really?
Yes.
As part of this, but bearing in mind, I know Max fairly well.
But actually, there actually is a corridor behind this.
I'm learning stuff as we go here, mate.
There's a corridor behind this wall where they're all in there. So this, back in 1985, was over £1,000.
Are you serious? In 85?
When my BMX in 1985, came to probably, very expensive still for back then, but probably came to about £300 in total. For the total? In total.
And that frame
and
was
this Frame and Forks was £1,000 in 1985. So these were like the dream kind of, and this one in particular is done in this futuristic black, as it was called. That was the paint colour.
Is that what it was called?
Back then.
Wow.
And it's probably futuristic black is what I've been obsessed with ever since.
Yeah.
This one over here, if you can see hanging up here, This is 24 karat gold Hutch Trickstar, that same futuristic black.
The same frame.
The same frame and forks.
Right.
So this one belonged to basically back in the 80s, one of their pro riders, a guy called Woody Itson, rode the gold 24 karat bike that he got sort of, I think the story goes that there was a lot of money in BMX back then. So these pro riders that were only kind of, I'm like 13, 14 years old. These are only probably like 5 years older than me. These guys are in the States, but they were pros. They were kind of like the, the absolute professional kind of, hero to us growing up over here. And I remember Woody Itson got given from Hutch at the end of this one year, I guess, when they'd had such a good year. He got a Porsche Turbo.
No way.
Painted in pink as well, the same as the frame that he would ride up there.
Yeah.
And he got given this 24 karat gold bike as well. They were obviously doing pretty good back then, you know?
Wow.
And years later, another rider this is like in recent years, in the last sort of 2 decades, had an accident and hadn't got insurance to cover a really bad sort of broken back. Thankfully, this guy is totally fine again now and whatever. Okay. But all the kind of BMX industry clubbed together to kind of pay his medical bill.
Oh, amazing.
And this came up for sale and whatever, and I ended up getting it. So,
phenomenal. What
and I got a nice letter from Woody Itson sent to me and whatever. And we actually kept in touch and everything. It's just it's kind of cool, right?
That's amazing. Yeah. Wow.
And then this wall's got some of the some of the skateboard decks and a lot of these skate decks are Gumball decks. So they're either decks that have been given to me by skaters that have done the rally and then just sort of at the end, giving me it as a gift, knowing that I'm into them, or they're actual. So one brand called Birdhouse, which is Tony Hawk's company. Yeah. This is Birdhouse Gumball Edition.
Phenomenal.
And signed by Tony, that one. Yeah. So is this one. So it was a whole racing series, as you can see. Yeah. Petrol station, with Gumball logos on, race cars, and this all their pro skaters, Bucky Lassick, Wendy Santos, Tony Hawk, all had
these
Gumball
names
Edition.
Take me back, man.
How
cool is that?
Sure, you've got sort of skate decks everywhere, and the ones that are all framed around the place are all kind of, same thing for me really. They're kind of all late 70s or 80s decks that are unused. And I see them as sort of works of art, but also kind of the people and what they represented to me at the time was kind of pretty powerful. Yeah. Mixed in with, Bun B, Houston Astros shirt to, Banksy's to Adam Neat to all kinds of stuff.
Incredible, man.
And this is this is what you'll be getting.
This is what I'll be wearing.
Yes. So
look at this.
Proper, obviously American football jersey style. 22nd Gumball, Toronto to Miami colors, basically. Yeah. But we did our first, for this collection, we did a store opened in Miami last week.
I saw.
We got a pop-up store in Wynwood in Miami, and it went crazy. Full on, and seeing pictures of people wearing this now is like, wow.
Incredible
really
feeling,
cool.
right?
Yeah.
I'm loving this.
Yeah.
Miami, man, I'm going to wear the most ostentatious sunglasses I can find and rock this. Sleeves half rolled. It's going to be great.
We got people standing around pretending to work at Gumball.
Yeah. So for you guys, this is like crunch time, right? It's how many days now until flag drops? Like a week or something? Something like that? Okay.
One more working day.
Yeah, one more working day. Yeah. Late nights and pizza, right?
Crew start going out on Monday.
Oh, soon.
Staff, crew, everyone. So, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is how we all sort of arrive.
Okay.
And
Sorry, Max is paying us extra.
we're in what we call the design room.
Right.
So this room is basically made up of, design desks, and the other half is sort of a bit more sponsorship and foundation. And, all the spaces are intended to be kind of like, fun social spaces. So, people sit anywhere and, hear the pool table being played most days and again, mixed in with a bit of Gumball art and a bit of art and Gumball memorabilia, So
I love this.
Soviet factory pieces, basically. But looking at old memorabilia bits, like this is the poster from 2002, Gumball 3000 movie, Ryan Dunn, narrated by Burt Reynolds.
God, I remember those.
And for me, it's about putting that next to Sex Pistols, next to Flag from North Korea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Continuing on the Hall of Fame. Yeah. So as we got to the next level, we got bits that again from the rally, the Hoff's jacket to that's my Eve wife. To this is what we were talking about before. Times Square.
Honestly, that was one of the most rock and roll things I've seen. It was just so cool. Just to shut down Times Square for your own event must have been a pinch yourself moment, no?
Yeah, really crazy. The skate decks, and even closing streets down like this for me, this was phenomenal. I mean, this was...
Yeah, that was amazing, eh?
This is Regent Street, and just seeing, we had 800 Gumball flags flying over Regent Street for 3 months. Even that, I kind of like, even I would go, I go with the kids, we go sort of, central London, and you just sort of, you'd have to just go down Regent Street to have a look up and think, wow, that is us,
Outstanding.
So that was really cool. And that rally, that was 2014, the Miami to Ibiza one.
Yeah.
Just seeing the phenomenal number of crowd.
Yeah, that was a hell of a time. Travis Pastrana, Jersey up there.
Yeah, he did the rally back in 2003. Carrie Hart, same. Amazing. Carrie's done it a couple of times. He did 2003 as well as 2006.
That's a moment. You've got that moment on for film, right?
Yeah, we do. Yeah. So the 2006 rally was from London to Los Angeles. Crazy route. One of the most sort of logistical challenges. I mean, the North Korean one was probably the biggest logistic challenge we ever had, but this one was the kind of cursor to that, really. So that year's rally started in London. Right.
We
did 1,000 miles through Europe to end up in Belgrade. Then flew all the cars from Belgrade to Phuket in Thailand. Drove 1,000 miles to Bangkok.
Yeah.
Flew all the cars again, 120 cars each time, to land in Salt Lake City in Utah, and then crossed the finish line on Rodeo Drive. And even closing Rodeo Drive in Los Angeles was a big deal. So, and that leaving London to 100,000 people in London to crossing the finish line in Los Angeles, in Rodeo Drive, Los Angeles, was 6 days, and we've done all of that with all-night parties in Bangkok to whatever. And those, I say the early years of the rally, probably the first decade of the rally, the schedule was far harder than it is now.
Right.
You're saying it's tired now, and you've done the second decade of Gumball.
Sure, yeah.
But to give you an idea, and I'll reference the 2006 one, that the first day's drive is London to Budapest.
Crikey.
Right?
Wow, okay.
I mean, on the rally in 2001, when we started from London that year, it was London to St. Petersburg and back to London, that route. Day one on that one was London. They got their route card. Yeah. It was to Vilnius. People hadn't even heard of Vilnius.
How long?
Lithuania.
But how far is that? That's
24-hour drive.
I was going to say, that must be like almost 1,000 miles, right?
And then, I remember 2004 rally as well, which was it started in Paris and went to Marrakesh and finished back in Cannes at the film festival. Day one was Paris, and they look at their map, route card, Marbella.
So that's one thing. So anyone who might not be familiar with the format, entrants know the general direction, but in the morning you get a route card, and you genuinely don't really know your, I guess, if you want to call it a lunch stop, which is typically your halfway stop, which is somewhere nuts normally. But you literally drive up, someone hands you a card and go, oh, we're going 800 miles now to this place. I mean, it is a real roll the dice, isn't it? Just wing it.
And obviously, because we're dealing with the geography of every route, some days are short, some days are long, some days are crazy long, and and other days are kind of got the free time to kind of have a lunch stop at a racetrack or do something really, really unique, But this one, going back to that 2006, on that day's European drive, day two was Budapest to Belgrade, and Belgrade is where we have these Antonov planes to fly with the cars to Thailand. The highway from Budapest to Belgrade was a proper kind of like 3-lane wide highway, and the police had kind of said to us, you can do whatever you want, sort of thing. It's totally fine, because they're sort of supporting the event. We got a lunch stop at the mayor's office in Belgrade before we were then going to the airport to get on the planes. Yeah. And this, I happened to have a cameraman sat next to me at the time. I'm in a Ferrari 612 Scaglietti, and we're driving along, we're talking, whatever, and this Rolls is in front of us that's on the rally, and we're sort of filming it, and sort of, there's no other cars around really, and suddenly you sort of see, we're going around a big sweeping bend on this highway, and you just see the back end of the Rolls start stepping out, and it clips a barrier and sends it spinning, and bits flying everywhere. And I think we got their luggage came out over our cars. It was really dramatic. Thankfully, the Rolls stayed upright, and they were totally fine. But it got a bit twisted.
That's the grill.
So we thought, Can't really leave that there, can you?
At all. It looks incredible.
So there it is. So it's a proper bit of memorabilia that's sort of a museum piece, really, isn't it? Now,
fantastic.
and you can never recreate that.
No chance.
So you know, and then you got that next to kind of, you know, original steering wheel from Kit from Knight Rider, gift to me from David Hasselhoff, next to Michael Jordan's basketball, next to the first batch of Air Jordan shoes ever produced.
Are you serious?
Is
that what's there?
Yeah.
I was just about to say, how's the security here? Because there's
a lot of
serious
security
artifacts
here. There's a lot of security here, which is important, as you can imagine. Skate decks to Dizzy Rascal, one of Dad's paintings, Tony's deck, to like some Dead Mouse, and another great.
I mean, look at that. That's
Times Square.
One of the shots from Times Square. It looked some of the content from that scene looked like CGI. Like it was.
I mean, that's a movie still, isn't it?
Look at it. It's unbelievable.
I mean, that could be Blade Runner or still from it easily. You know.
Easily.
Should we walk in here?
All right, dude. Yeah, I'm good, mate. Good. Yeah. Getting hyped, mate. Not long now. Not long.
This is another operations room. That Times Square shot's from a different year. That's the year 2010 when we finished in Times Square.
Wow.
Instead of starting there. So again, you know, even looking at that, that's a shot from like, I think that's probably like 2 in the morning or something, and thinking it's still.
It's still lit. Yeah.
Look at it, you know.
Unbelievable.
This is the entry grid
for
the rally.
Okay.
So it's not filled in completely. So it's a little bit of a slight, working grid. We don't. This time of the year, we don't kind of update it as much as we probably should, because this is just a working list throughout the year. But you're up there.
Just in there we are.
Yeah. Also got a next grid going on over here because we got a rally following this one in the Middle East.
Yeah.
So that's sort of equally, starting to fill up now. And this is my office.
So this is where the magic happens here, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just my office, and a nice, a really nice environment to just work in. So it's not an office.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Kind of,
what is that?
It's a sculpture by Futura, who's one of my favorite sort of artists, and it's
that's incredible.
Solid.
That's solid.
I mean, the weight of it is, needs a crane to go anywhere, basically. It's super cool. He only made a couple of them, and there's one here. And again, it's this sort of, I guess it's, you know what it is, I kind of realize when I start telling these sort of stories about Gumball, and even things shared with you today, I realize I've always been obsessed with the future.
Right.
So Futura, being an artist that is probably also obsessed with the future, and he's called Futura 2000 is his actual kind of street art tag name that he used.
Right.
Futura's been an artist, street artist since, the 80s. He's been sort of famous in that world. And I'd always followed him, been a huge fan of his, and in a little way, when I called Gumball 3000, it was actually a nod to the future as well. That's what I think I've told people that before, that people always think it's 3,000 miles, which it actually doubles up as being, the rally is approximately 3,000 miles too. Yeah. But when I called it Gumball 3000, it was actually for the future, the year 3000.
I see.
Because I loved all this sort of, we talked about downstairs, the futuristic black Bmx frame, the futuristic black floor. These are alien futuristic characters. So I guess just that kind of, and the bits of like we've discussed, the whole Star Wars and everything. We're all a little bit kind of like wondering what's next,
Yeah.
So there's lots more of artifacts around, from Tommy Lee's drum to Ryan Dunn from Jackass's Gumball helmet. Ryan, who's a great friend of mine as well, and sadly not here, but that was his helmet that he wore on Gumball. Yeah. And other bits of Futura, another Futura little bronze piece to bronze Daniel Arsham basketball that's deteriorating. So it's a relic of the future, this is called. It's sort of, this is intended to be if someone found artifacts from now in the future. They'd have deteriorated, and so he's created a whole series that are all in bronze, and so I am pretty, I guess, futuristic obsessed, I think, really. This is an Indian from motorbike from 1911.
1911?
And it was actually the world's fastest motorbike,
1911? I mean...
Yeah.
Amazing.
I know, right? And it was a board track racer, so, it would do the the oval, and they do speed trials on these on the the salt flats and whatever and stuff.
Right.
So I mean, imagine doing over 100 miles an hour in this, which is basically a combination of a bicycle.
I was going to say, I mean, look at the seat. It is a bike, you know.
Yeah, and even the handlebars and everything. I mean, you know, and no brakes, of course. You know, so
no brakes.
No, you just use your feet.
Oh, great. Must have had good boots.
What your feet are
Must have had great boots back then. Drag your heels at 100 mile an hour.
I know.
Crikey. But it's a stunning thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's beautiful. And this was restored. It was in Pebble Beach a few years ago at the Concourse, the Elegance event. Oh, actually, I've got to mention this one, right? What car were you in on the last rally? Which was the special car on the last rally?
I was an Aston Martin Vulcan.
So this is the ejector seat from a Vulcan.
Is it really? Do you know what? It looks
Not
about
the Aston Martin,
it looks just about as comfortable as the Vulcan seat that was in. So this was an ejector seat.
Yeah.
Well, mate, it's actually been amazing for me because I thought I knew most things about it here, but so I'm planning on this going live before the flag drops. Okay. So it'll probably go when is flag drop? 27th or 28th?
28th.
28th. So we're going to put this out 27th. Yeah. And then we'll get nice and cozy in an Aventador and drive the best part of 3,000 miles. Yeah. So I'm excited, and honestly, I'm really honoured that you invited me to be your co-pilot. So excited for it, and the plan is we're going to be vlogging it along the way.
Absolutely. So we'll have a lot of fun. I mean, it's just a road trip, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just a road, he says.
Yeah.
It's anything but a road trip.
So, behind the scenes, I've got my trusted co-pilot that can kind of, if I'm on the phone and
there you go.
You know, dealing with whatever I've got to deal with as the host and organizer. But I think honestly, there's a few things. There's always, for any live event, there's always stuff to do,
of course,
and organise. And the drama of the last sort of month leading up to it, there's you know, so many issues that just arise. But you know, most of those issues are brought on by us, by what we choose to do, what we try to put on. You know,
well, you don't get what we've just spoken about without pushing the boundaries, and the nature of going outside of your comfort zone is it's not easy, is it?
No, it's not. But it brings a lot of stress, but it kind of makes you a bit wiser every time. I think. So.
Yeah. So the route, we are starting in Toronto.
Yeah.
And then as we go, there's concerts, parties.
Yeah, so we actually launch this is kind of fairly new, I guess, to do this sort of format. The night before the rally starts, we're doing a music concert in Toronto's version of Times Square. It's called Young Dundas Square. It's where they have their, you know, all the video screens, LED screens all around. Yeah. It's where they would do their New Year's Eve celebrations. Anyway, we're doing a Gumball concert that night to kind of kick it off. Amazing. We're calling it, you know, just a Gumball launch party basically. And we've got a whole roster of about 6 or 7 artists performing, including Deadmau5, including Bun B, a few other surprise artists to join them as well.
Fantastic.
And I don't know how many people we expect, but it could be tens of thousands. So it's free and it's Deadmau5.
It'll be there.
You know,
it'll be big. Yeah.
And then the next day, so that day the cars are all on display in another part of the city called Yorkville. And on the Saturday morning, we do a parade, police escort from this part of town, 15 minutes down to back to the same square where the concert was the night before. Okay. And the cars are, you know, drive into the square one by one and get announced and set off. And, and again, we're expecting, you know, pretty significant kind of bunch of people to come out for that. And we set off to Detroit for lunch, late lunch. It's sort of almost early evening kind of lunch stop. And I think that will be pretty big. So we partnered with a music festival organizer, and we drive into a music festival for lunch.
That's what I'm talking about. It's not a road trip. I think you managed to make the entrance feel like rock stars, like every step of the way. I think that's the biggest thing.
So after we've had a music festival for a lunch stop, we arrive into Indianapolis, and we park the cars in what's called Monument Circle, which is again their city center, their big famous sort of you know, central space. And then really we're going to Indianapolis because it's the Indy 500 weekend. And so actually that following day, we're all guests of the Indy 500. We've taken out the entire grandstand seating on the start line.
No way.
For us all.
Wow.
So all 300 of us are sat there together.
Block.
There were no hospitality suites big enough.
Okay.
Can't fit 300 people in any of the hospitality suites they got there. It's we'd have to have multiple suites,
Yes.
and we couldn't
And
get
everyone
anything
split
together.
up.
It was all over the sort of place.
Sure.
So we thought we'd get the grandstand,
Yeah.
which I think is really cool,
awesome.
on the start line, and then behind the grandstand, we've built a sort of a hospitality lounge.
Wow.
So we got lunch and all that there, and all of that.
Like the
So
scale of it
and the
is
Indy
mind-blowing.
500 is, it is one of the biggest sports events,
Yeah.
attended and watched on television events in the US that there is, basically. I think probably second to the Super Bowl.
Yes.
So we went there last on Gumball actually in 2012, and it was really kind of mind-blowing.
Yeah,
And
the scale
it's
of
a
it's unbelievable, isn't
full-on,
it? Yeah, it's huge.
scale, and I think it's great. And if
Has they
we-
got sitting for like 500,000 people or something?
I think so.
Something
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
insane. Yeah.
And so inside, obviously it's an oval,
Yes.
there's a music festival as well during the race.
Okay.
And we have Dead Mouse playing that.
No way.
So we've got Gumball
Wow.
element to that,
Gumball on
as,
that as
well,
well.
too. And we got Steve Aoki playing that as well. So,
Really?
or Steve's playing it. And
Yeah.
trying to get Steve to drive on a bit of the rally this
Yeah.
year. We're still working on that.
That
but,
dude's flat out, isn't he? Yeah.
He is,
Wow.
yeah. So
Okay.
that'll be amazing
Cool.
too.
Yeah.
And then the next day we drive to a place called Bardstown for a lunch stop,
Okay.
which is the smallest, quaintest kind of, has won America's Prettiest Town Award.
Right.
It's in
Okay.
Kentucky.
Amazing.
And
Wow.
we've obviously taken over the town.
Taken over the whole town.
And
Wow.
it's Memorial Day this day in America. It's
it
a
really?
public holiday.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
again,
Phenomenal.
should be
Quite an experience.
quite an
Yes.
experience. And then we drive on to Nashville for the evening.
I'm excited
And
about
Nashville
that.
is
I've never
great.
been to Nashville.
You
I'm
know,
excited
Nashville
about that.
is really cool. And
Yeah.
Nashville's got a main high street called Broadway, which is where all the bars are, honky tonk bars or music venues.
Yeah.
And we closed Broadway, of course, and
It's
we're doing an amazing
unreal.
party. I say amazing, I'm hoping it will be amazing. I have no doubt it will be, on the rooftop
Right.
of a museum in Nashville called the National Museum of African American Music, which actually only opened during COVID. So we're
right.
one of the first big events there.
Oh, fantastic.
And we're doing a party, big stage, everything on the roof of this building,
Wow.
which will be great. And this roof
so
overlooks
unreal.
Broadway, so
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
see all our cars on display
Sure.
down below us. And we're
Unbelievable.
expecting 100,000 people
Serious?
for that one.
I
I
think
know.
it's difficult to convey the scale of this,
I know.
right? I mean,
I know.
it is
Yeah.
it's like a full moving rock show,
Yeah,
isn't it? It's,
yeah. It's turned
cool.
into that over the
It-
years.
yeah.
It's turned into kind of a
Really
mobile
has.
tour.
Yes, that's
of,
it.
if-
With 300 people and
Yeah.
supercars.
With 300 of us experiencing this tour,
Sure.
but in each
But
city,
stop.
it's the big event for that city, sort of thing.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
Nashville will be. I'm really looking forward to Nashville night. I think it'll be really, really cool.
Yeah.
And of course, we have a party after that in one of the bars that's owned by one of the Gumballers too.
Right. Okay.
Lucky Bastard Saloon.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah. Yeah.
That sounds fun.
And so then after that, the next day we're kind of really embracing kind of sports culture, let's say in America, with the Indy 500, and then this next day we have a lunch stop at Talladega Super Speedway, which is the NASCAR venue.
Unreal.
So if
Okay.
you've ever seen Talladega Nights,
Yeah.
we're putting on
There.
that event, and we've got basically multiple cars there, NASCARs there,
Right,
and
okay.
everyone gets taken out in hot laps,
Really?
passenger laps, whatever,
Oh, man,
and
this is going to be
good
ridiculous.
filming opportunity.
Good
for
content
that one.
opportunity. Tune in for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'd be really cool. And then that night, another great city we arrive into is Atlanta.
Yeah.
It's Atlanta. We've got so many music friends of ours, artists that live there. We're
Right.
closing an area called Midtown, and we've got a big party that night, of course,
Yeah.
And then the last day down, well, not the last day actually, the next day down to Miami. Bit of sports culture too. We've
Yep.
got, this is a really kind of cool checkpoint. You were saying that the lunch stops are kind of
Yes.
not just lunch stops.
Sure.
So this lunch stop is with the Tampa Buccaneers NFL team, which obviously won the Super Bowl recently.
yeah,
and,
wow,
and,
okay.
we actually get to drive inside the stadium,
Right.
onto the field,
Okay.
park all down the sides of the field,
Yeah.
and everyone gets to do the quarterback challenge and,
No way.
and play with the Tampa Bucks.
That's you do.
And then have
you do.
a lunch in the pirate ship, which is at the end of one of the end zones. And
I don't know how you do it, mate. I don't know how you
which
manage
is
to
kinda
pull this
cool,
off.
right?
It's unbelievable. Yeah.
and then we end up going down that night. We end up at the Guitar Hotel, which is Hard Rock's new flagship kind of venue. It's a guitar in the shape. It's a hotel in the shape of a guitar.
Yeah.
It looks pretty
I mean,
impressive.
it literally is, isn't it? It's an
It really is,
incredible
yeah. And
building.
they're actually a sponsor this year.
Right.
Hard Rock Worldwide are. So we did an amazing party with them.
Yeah.
And the last day, we have a long drive down to Key West, which is furthest tip south of the US. And originally we were going to be getting on a boat and going to Cuba from that point, which things of the last 2 months with the Ukraine-Russia situations meant we can't do that.
Sure.
So we're still going to go down there, and we have a lunch stop down there. It's super beautiful, and then we drive back up, and we cross the finish line at Inter Miami Stadium, which is David Beckham's football team.
Yes.
And we just thought, we've finished in Miami twice before. We've started from Miami once before. We've done South Beach each of those times. If you're familiar with Miami, it's kind of like that. That's the sort of the tourist spot, let's say, on the beach. But we thought we'd do something different and bigger. And so the stadium was like, it's bigger.
That sounds good.
You know? And so we're doing the finish line at the stadium. And we're doing, obviously we started the Gumball Foundation a decade ago, charity that supports youth projects and mostly to give kids a chance in with education and recreational sort of things. So everything from building skate parks with Tony Hawk to you know, sports fields and equipment and all that sort of stuff. So that night we're doing our very first charity football match in the stadium.
Yes.
In Inter Miami Stadium with Inter Miami players, and it's going to be in the Gumball All-Stars team. Yes. Plays against the Lotus World 11. Lotus is Lotus Sport for Good is the biggest sports foundation in the world. Yes. Supported by Daimler Chrysler and IWC watches. That's what Lotus is founded by. And so we're just doing these sort of two teams, and we're a bunch of sort of, you know, retired football legends in both teams, plus sports stars, influencers, Gumball friends, family. I mean, we've literally got like, I think we got Dennis Rodman playing in goal or something, and we've got, you know, Bun B up front or something.
Amazing.
And
cool.
you know, and then I think we got, you know, I don't know, Sean Wright Phillips in our team, and a bunch of Premier League players that sort of, you know, and I think they've got one Matter and a few other players, Man United player and whatever and stuff. So that's just be fun, right?
Yeah.
And that's the finale. That is the finish line of the event. And then obviously again, that's on a Thursday night in Miami. Which means obviously Friday, Saturday, Sunday are also going to be crammed full of Gumball things. You know.
Wow.
Exhausted.
Hence.
Before
it's like you need a holiday after the rally.
It's
a funny one.
Yeah, you do. You know. So yeah,
phenomenal.
Are you going to bring your football boots?
I am. I've bought them. I haven't played football in a long time. So, but I have been on my Peloton a lot, trying to get in shape.
All right, very good.
There you go. Well, listen. Thanks very much.
Again.
Really can't wait.
You.
We'll see you in Toronto.
Perfect.